TNA Throwback 68, and let's quickly recap what happened last week's show, the March 31st show, and we're gonna quickly segue to the April 7th Impact. The important moments of last week's show were Bischoff announcing his lockdown team, consisting of the World Congregation members Devon, Abyss, Gunner, Morgan, and Orlando Jordan. Then he decided to book Pope vs. Storm and Roode on consecutive shows. This is continuing part of the angle where he wants the Pope to participate in a lot of matches before a pay-per-view to prepare him, but the underlying statement is that he just wants to fuck with him because it's some sort of a punishment. We did have the lockdown series, the second round portion of the matches. Hype for Scott Steiner's new show. We got announcements for the Anderson-Carlito match that will happen at lockdown. Heyman announcing Danielson as third and fourth member of his team. Beer Money wanting retribution, but Paul Heyman basically doesn't trust them enough. The main event was the Pope beating James Storm and Lito going face to face with the Pope, just as Kurt Angle got face to face with him on last week's show, kind of to push himself as a favorite to win the series. Of course, if you want a full review of the show, you can check out the previous video. We are right now heading towards the April 7th Impact, which is the one we're gonna talk about. This is 2 weeks out from the lockdown pay-per-view. Next week is the go-home show. The show opened with Lito, Styles, Danielson, Kaz, who are on Paul Heyman's side, and I haven't given them an official name, but I think I'm gonna call them the Originals because of those guys have been in TNA for quite some time. I can give them Fortune, but Fortune is something that happened in real life, and it happened with Flair, and I don't think I'm gonna steal the Fortune tagline for these guys. And I don't really think about planning on sticking them together after the pay-per-view. They may stick around for some time as an unofficial faction, but I'm not gonna push them as a babyface faction that is taking over the show, because it doesn't really make any sense to have a babyface faction. The whole point of a heel faction is to take over the authority, take over the titles, and basically have someone take them down. Once I take the heel faction down, there's no point of a babyface faction sticking together. So they trash-talked Bischoff and they hyped up the Lito lockdown match. There's only one member left to be announced on the team of the Heyman's Originals. Storm and Roode came out and they said they're here with peace and they want to be accepted by the babyface team. They want retribution and revenge for what Bischoff did to them and put an end to his regime. So Lito picked the mic and he spoke for everybody. He accepted them. They shook hands, but the final decision is up to Paul Heyman. So in this segment, we are establishing that Beer Money are sorry for what they did the past couple of months. They have realized that Bischoff is an evil man. They want to get revenge. I guess one of them wants to get on the team and help Heyman out. And let's not forget that two of these guys, or three of these guys, are still in the tournament. So if one of them wins the lockdown series, they're automatically out of this match because they will compete for the world title against the Pope. So I guess they need some backup, they need some reserves. And this segment is what I talked about last time. We can't just have Storm and Roode turn or get kicked out of the heel group and just automatically put themselves with the babyfaces. We need to have some sort of acceptance because these guys have been heels for a lot of time. They have been on Bischoff's side, and we need to have some transition here. The end goal is to have them as babyfaces and have them together, but we need to move forward to it with some sort of direction. We need direction there. We need to have angles to make sense of the whole thing. So this show is the quarterfinals of the series. Matt Morgan defeated Jeff Hardy to advance to the semifinals after RVD and Lynn got involved. But the most important thing about this match is the post-match angle where Hardy picked the mic and challenged both of them to a tag match with a mystery partner at Lockdown. So the heels accepted. They claimed it doesn't matter who his partner is, they'll still win. So I think you all know what this sets up for. But we are gonna leave it to Lockdown to reveal the surprise. So for Lockdown, RVD and Jerry Lynn are gonna take out Jeff Hardy and a mystery partner. Then we got the #1 contendership match for World Tag Titles that was announced last week between the Guns and Low-Key and Eddie Kingston. This ended in a no contest due to interference. Crimson and Joe came out, they destroyed both teams, causing the no contest, and they claimed, they cut a promo saying this was a bait. They're ready to defend in a three-way dance. So this doesn't really make sense as far as, you know, as if you're a tag team champion, you'd rather want to defend against one contender, not against two. But Crimson and Joe, their gimmick is that they're unstoppable, so they don't really care who they take on. Because one of these teams are the Mother City Machine Guns, which can't match them on power or muscle or anything, and the other team is consisting of the new guys, Loki and Kingston, members of Team Fight Club under Eric Young, and I guess they believe that they can beat them both, so this sets up a three-way at the pay-per-view. Then we had Carlito cut a promo. He said his angle's worst nightmare. He's already beaten him in WWE. I decided I would include this because these guys have history together and they're gonna face off in the quarterfinals, and we can have some type of a shoot promo where we mention WWE. But in this alternate universe that I'm running TNA for basically a year and 4 or 5 months at this moment, because I started in January 2010, WWE is far below TNA. I'm the #1 company in the United States by far, and I have the better over guys. I have most of the over guys are with me. WWE, the market had some sort of a crisis, and they have fallen to the low 20s in the global area. The global, the size of their company is still global, but they're in the low 20s, and they may fall down to national. So, of course, Kurt Angle defeated Carlito to advance. We need to keep Kurt Angle strong because we established him as one of the serious contenders in the Lockdown series. So we need to beat him, to beat Carlito clean. We don't need Anderson interfering to continue his feud with Carlito. Then we got the match with the Pope and Bobby Roode. The Pope went over, but he hit him with the world title because I believe Bobby Roode. Of course, anybody who has watched Bobby Roode in the last couple of years knows he's a great worker, and I think he's the better worker of the two. I really like James Storm as well, but as far as this game goes, this is the time where I will start pushing these guys more, so I need to keep them strong, and Bobby Roode is not gonna lose here clean like Storm did last week to the Pope. But the idea was for the Pope to win again, and he retreated after the match. He started praising himself for winning on 4 impacts in a row. So we keep the Pope strong heading to the pay-per-view, and we keep some of the contenders strong, because that's how a match like this is built. You can't build a world title match if the world title guy loses on every show. Then we got THROWBACK coming out to do commentary ahead of Aries' match. This match was set up last week by Paul Heyman, who talked Aries out of a sit-down protest in the middle of the ring. He told him that if he beats Jerry Lynn, he's gonna get his X Division title shot. So Steinerized defeated Jerry Lynn and earned his X title shot. There are gonna be some stare-down with Robbie E, and this is how we set up this match for the pay-per-view. Sarita cut a promo saying she got Gail's number and wants a KO title shot. I'm not very good with the knockout segments. I probably insert 1 or 2 segments per show, and yeah, the women on the show are very underused just because I'm not a big fan of women's wrestling. And in particular, the one where a few years ago we only had them in stupid angles, and we basically the TNA way of just putting them in 6-man tags and some random matches. At least I'm trying to keep one storyline in the Knockouts division. Then we got a Lito promo. He said that Joe is the hardest challenge in the series, but he will overcome it. Jay Lito defeats Samoa Joe in a quarterfinal match. Clean. Again, I thought about someone interfering and helping Lito or screwing Joe, one of the Guns or one of the either Eddie Kingston or Low Key. But we need to keep the main contenders for titles strong. We can't have them win on a bullshit finish. I think it's obvious that Matt Morgan is not gonna win the series. That's why we have the bullshit finish there. Just rambling over my words. Then we got the new show, Steinerized, with Scott Steiner. His first guest is global champion prizefighter Ray, who got eliminated by Carlito, I think, on last week's show from the tournament. And after his program with Devon has ended, right now he's just a global champion wandering around with no program. So Steiner inexplicably lost his cool. He started fat shaming him before putting him in a recliner. So this may be a global championship program. I know that Steiner still has the Fist or Fire briefcase. He still has a world title shot, but Steiner as a babyface does nothing for me. I have included him in the Legends match at Victory Road because I needed a spot. He was taken out by World Congregation months ago, and he returned as a babyface. But now I'm gonna turn him heel again because Steiner as a heel is really way more interesting. And I think about probably putting him in a tag team from after his match with Ray, because I don't think I'm gonna make Steiner the global champion. But for this pay-per-view, I'm probably gonna do Ray versus Steiner for the global title, and then I'm gonna think about what I'm gonna do with his host with his talk show Steinerized. The main event was AJ Styles taking on Christopher Daniels in the last quarter final of the series. AJ Styles beat him clean via spiral tap. There was an exchange of respect after the match. So the next week the Lockdown Series finals. Semi-finals are set up. Jay Lito takes on AJ Styles and Kurt Angle faces Matt Morgan. So we got either Lito or Styles are gonna reach the final. And if one of them wins, they're gonna be out of this Lito Lockdown match. So before the Go Home show, we only got 4 guys on Paul Heyman's team that are officially announced, and we got Beer Money wanting to enter the team, or at least one of them, to help against Bischoff. And this is a stacked pay-per-view because we got a very important World Heavyweight title match with the Pope taking on somebody without outside help because they're gonna be in a cage. Bischoff has hit with the Pope, so he probably doesn't wanna help him at all. We got a little lockdown match where we got the babyface side with Paul Heyman against Bischoff's heels of World Congregation, and now one of these guys have to step down as an authority after a pay-per-view. This is a very important match for the direction of the company after lockdown. So this really feels like the second biggest pay-per-view of the year after Bound for Glory. So we only got one more show to go, and then we will book lockdown. So stay tuned for the episode 69.